All right, welcome everybody to the Wednesday afternoon team call. I know it's like we have so many great trainings today, but one thing I want to remind you guys about, like for example, we have this call right now with Taryn, and I'll introduce her after a couple of announcements, but we're in the middle of our Emerald Push group inside of the Dynasty Strong team page. So you're getting a call from Heather College, one of our one-star, almost three-star qualifying coaches. A little bit later this afternoon, she announced that. And then Brigitte Linford, also one of our coaches, has invited any of you guys to come on her team call tonight as well, which is also on the team page. So there's 3 opportunities for you guys to be on a training of some sort today. I don't suggest that you sit on 3 trainings and don't work on your business, but that you know that they're there and that there will be recordings and that you take more time actually talking to people, sharing your story, and inviting them to this journey and catching the recordings when you can. One thing that I do, like for example, there's 3 calls. I won't be on live on the other 2 because I have prospect calls that I need to be on with people that are interested in my test group and also in a coach opportunity that I'm doing next week. So I have to listen back to Heather's recording live in the team page later. And also Brigitte's call is during my family time tonight. So I will be listening to that tomorrow, most likely during my Lift 4 workout or shortly afterwards. So I want to remind you guys that what the focus is for August. We are still inviting for the Lift 4 test group. There's a lot of opportunity for you to create urgency in being one of the first ones to complete the program. I'm going to be doing a training early next week on exactly what I'm doing to promote for, invite, and get somebody on the phone, what I talk to them about on the phone, and get them into a test group. And I use the urgency and kind of the coolness factor of doing something before it actually releases to the public and comes on to Beachbody On Demand. They have the opportunity to be one of the success stories I tell them that will help promote the Lift 4 program as it launches officially for everybody else. So I'm kind of working on, with my messaging on social media, attracting that person that likes to be the early adopter, the person that likes to be first, that likes to get things before everybody else. You know, the people that camp out in line for the new iPhones. Like, that's the type of person that I'm speaking to. So there's not a lot of price objection when I get on the phone with them because they're excited to be in line for something and be first for something. So I want you to think about all that stuff. That comes down to your messaging, being clear on who you want inside of your groups and who you want to work with. I want to give you guys a simple, quick example real quick. I was going to talk about this live in the team page, but I was like, I'm just going to mention it on the team call. Yesterday, I told somebody that I don't think they're going to be a great fit for our team. And I know you might be thinking that because, you know, some of you are working on your first sell or you want to hit your success club and find 3 people. But the guy just straight up told me, you know, I know the workouts work, but I work 3 jobs and I'm going to, like, I just want to sell the programs and then they can do them. And I'm not going to coach them. I don't have time for that. I was like, I don't want you on my team. Like, I don't think you're going to be a good fit. I talked to him for 30 minutes and tried to convince him on how he could help support them by maybe doing a live video every day for them or checking in with them once a week, and he wasn't down for it. So I said, hey, you're not a great fit. You can find somewhere else. And the reality is that because I'm building something long-term, not short-term for a Success Club point or a coach sign-up, I don't want to be associated with a team that doesn't support people. It doesn't help people. So I just wanted to share that with you. You got to be strong about who you are, what you stand for, and what you want. And it may be a little harder in the short term, but I'm building this thing for the long term. I'm only 37 years old this month, and I'm going to be doing this till I'm like 70. I'm going to be helping people and continually helping them, empowering them to continually transform their life and become the best version of themselves. So remember, a long-term game is what's going to bring you the most success with taking massive action today. So our focus, launching Lift 4 test group, that's what I'm working on. And then transforming them into coaches through the test groups, having them have great results, then introducing them to getting a discount on their products, into sharing how they are encouraging others in the group and how they would be a great coach as well. So that's the process that I'm doing to recruit coaches. My 8 coaches last month, of my 8 coaches, 7 of them are from my July 16th test group. So you can see where I'm finding my coaches and recruiting them from. Why I'm not going to be on the live call later today for the Emerald Push Group on live, and you'll have to watch it back later, is because my to-do list today involves contacting all 32 of my test group participants that are not coaches and inviting them to a event that we're going to do on next Monday or Tuesday. I'll announce that in the team page the exact time, but we're going to do a coach sneak peek type event on Facebook. So I'm inviting them all to it, and I'm inviting them without having the date set. I'm just gauging if they're interested in it or not, putting their name on the list, and then I'll resend them the exact info on how to access that event when we put that date in the team page. So focus, invite for Lift 4, and also know that you guys can invite your current challengers, test group members, prospects, people have told you no to come check out what coaching is with us next week. It's going to be part of or a follow-up to our Emerald Push Group this week, a place for you guys to take everybody that's saying no or I'm interested and you don't quite know what to do with them at this point. You can invite them into that event that we're going to do early next week, okay? So that's where we're focused at right now. I'm going to challenge you guys coming out of the Beat Your Best promotion that we did last month to make that your new standard of beating your best. And as we talked about on the team call last week, instead of going for Success Club 6 by the end of the month, make that your weekly goal. Challenge up your own goals and expectations for yourself. You guys are on here because you want to lead teams. I'm looking at everybody on here. You guys are looking to grow your teams and build your teams. You have to raise the standard for yourself. And I had this conversation with, I see Christine and Lindsay on here. We had that conversation yesterday as we did a 3-way call, is we have to raise our own expectations of ourselves so that we can lead other people as well. So with that being said, remember that Coach Summit is next July. Make the commitment now to go. You make the commitment now. Draw the line in the sand. Say, I'm going, and then we'll figure out this year how to make that happen by helping people throughout the year and earning your way there. So with that being said, I'm going to now not take any more of your time because you guys hear enough from me. I get going when I get talking. So I want to announce who our guest speaker is today. I've been super excited. Taryn, I don't know if you know this, but I've been super excited to have you on the call. And it was funny when I got your voice message today, you're like, I'm so excited. And I'm like, we have mutual excitement in this call today. And I want you guys to know she's making sacrifices. She took an 8-minute drive as fast as she could from the gym to her husband's office to do this call for us. So she's making some sacrifices, hustling in her own life to come add value to you guys. So I appreciate you guys being here. And I'm just going to read some of the things that she said to me as we talked about what she's accomplished in this business, but also some of her, her accolades, what she's accomplished, but a little bit about who she is. What I love about her is that it's 10 years, right? She's been a coach for 10 years, and she just recently became a 5-star diamond. And, 5-star diamond is kind of a big deal. When you hit that point, that's one of the requirements that you need to become an elite team is be a 5-star diamond. You get invited to this secret group called the Round Table, led by Jeff Hill, and Carl Deichler comes in there from time to time for the leadership of the company. And so that's where I was first connected with Taryn when I saw her announced into that group. But she started as a coach in June of 2008. So when I talk about myself being a dinosaur coach, she is even more dinosaur than me. Like, I didn't even start P90X until 2010. So she's been around for a long time in this company. She's seen everything that we've been through. And she lives in Seattle, and she is, what she said, an overwhelmed mom of 4, and she never thought she would be here today. And she started with infomercial from P90X, and that's the reason that she fell in love with these workouts in this company. And her family fell in love with that as well. And this business and this opportunity and all of that helped her go from 2 kids to 4 kids over her time as a coach. And some of her business accolades are she's a Success Club All-Star Legend, which means you've hit Success Club for 24 consecutive months. She recently went from a paid 1-star diamond up to 4-star in 1 week's time. She's a 5-star now, and her next rank advancement obviously is a 6-star diamond in her first business center. She's 2-star qualifying in her second business center. And she is a Core to Force Beachbody Live instructor, group fitness instructor. And so she is a personal trainer with people in the gym as well. And so her topic is kind of like the comeback kid. And she said that because her story involves that she checked out of this business pretty much for 4 years due to burnout, and because she was influenced by somebody that told her that she needed to look into another business opportunity because she deserved more money. So I'm super excited to learn from her on that experience of going through burnout, of having people try to influence her to go do something else because it's shinier or she's more deserving of more income. So with that being said, Taryn, I think I'm the most excited to be here and learn from you. So time is yours.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm in this like dark, dingy conference room, my husband's. And I just wrapped up with Quarter Force. So I'm a little sweaty. I slicked the hair back, but you know what? We're in a fitness business, so who gives a rip, right? But honestly, Scotty, I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week. And so I'm honored that you invited me, for one. It's been such a joy to connect with dinosaur coaches that are still in it, because there are still a lot of us that have been doing this for as long as you have and I have, and we go through our ebbs and flows. And so we talked about me being the comeback kid, and I kind of wanted to explain that a little bit because we are faced with so much influence from successful coaches, which I admire and I, want to emulate as well. And there's a little bit of envy when you see some of these coaches that have been in the game for 2 years soar to like superstar diamond coach like that. And you're like, what the heck? But everybody has their own journey and their own way of getting there. And so I really just want to frame it for you guys that this is a long-term gig. We can't be drawn to the bright, shiny objects. It's really, really easy with social media to be drawn to the idea of something bigger and better. Be the first. I was kind of laughing because, Scotty, you're talking, your ideal person is the early adopter, right? The person that wants to get in first. And that's the culture that we want to create in this business, right? But as the person that is in a business, it's so easy to say, I want to be the first in something else. And unfortunately, that was part of my story. So I'll back up a little bit and I'll give you guys kind of the scope of it and then what I've learned along the way, because I think we can all learn a little bit from our respective stories, because you guys are going to have a story. You're building on it now. You've got amazing trainings, obviously, within your Dynasty team and all the stuff that sounds like you guys have on the books today. But just finding that way, that journey for you, and for as long as it takes to get there. So he was right. I started back in 2008. This was before Shakeology, you guys. We had an archaic back office. Like, it was bad. And so where we're at today is like phenomenal. And all of these apps and digital stuff and the way of getting out on social media has changed tremendously. But I started with P90X, like a long program, 90 days, kind of reminded me a bit of 80-Day Obsession. So I loved that challenge, but P90X was like my jam. I did it like 6 times through. I don't know what I was thinking, but I loved it. I loved the way I felt. I loved the way it made me feel confidence-wise. I started when our son was 4 months, and he was my number 2. So I was that typical postpartum mom that kind of lost her way. I actually had just become a stay-at-home mom. I was in commercial real estate for 8 years before that, and I loved working. Like, that was my jam. I was really good at working. But then I was able to come home. And so I always joke with my friends that have kids and work outside of the house. I'm like, you guys, you don't know how easy you have it. Easier it is to go out of the house and then come back. When you work from home, it's hard, right? But I needed that outlet so bad because I just needed a community. I needed to connect. I needed to feel like I was an influence in some way, that I could provide value again, because I needed that in my life too. So P90X was that outlet for me. The community that was created around P90X was that for me. And then I slowly started to see the evolution of this business and what it could do even before Shakeology Home Direct came out. We had like the results in recovery. You guys, I don't know if any of you guys remember that from like back in the day. That was good. So Team Orange, I'm still Team Orange. The recover is still the bomb. So, but the evolution in that year was really challenging. I read every book out there on how to be successful in network marketing, and they were very like stodgy books. It was basically teaching you to sit down with a flip chart and teach the business. right? Somebody face to face. And I'm like, how the heck am I going to do that? I just had a baby, you know, like I don't have time for that. I didn't know how to manage my time being a new stay-at-home mom. So that was like a kind of like a whirlwind of things I was trying to comprehend. So, but within 3 years, I was very successful. I got myself to 1-star, 2-star, and then 3-star. So I was a lifetime 3-star within my 3rd year of the business. And I was like, oh my God, this is sweet. You know, I'm just going to keep excelling, right? And I was able to recreate a 6-figure business that I had done in my previous job in real estate. And I felt like on top of it, I'm like, this is amazing. I am tracking with some of these elitist coaches that have been doing this for as long as I have. And like Danielle Tony came in not too long after me. And I followed her story for so long. And, you know, and then you just kind of see things, everybody goes on their own journey. So, you know, my kids were young. I had almost a preschooler, and then my son was about 2. So it was really, really challenging. And I kind of hit a point where I stalled in my business. I was promoting things on Facebook, but I was like that token spammer, you know, the one that's like, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach and you can buy from me, or you can save 25%. Like, you know, you could just do all the wrong things and you go back, and thank goodness for Time Hop, because they tell you like, this is how bad your posts were 8 years ago. Because believe it or not, 10 years ago, there was still MySpace. And so I was leveraging a little bit of what was dangling on MySpace. So, you know, times have changed. Now we have Twitter, which I think is a thing of the past, and Instagram. So, but I hit a point where I just felt defeated because my business wasn't going anywhere. And I wanted to blame the company because I allowed other people to influence me as such. Right? I allowed mentors that I had to give me the idea that I was made for better things and greater things, that it was not being provided within this company. But deep down, I knew that it wasn't the case, but I was so vulnerable at that point because I wanted to be 5-star so bad. That was like my goal every single year coming out of Summit. I'm going to be 5-star next year. I'm going to be 5-star next year. And what that was telling me is I was so attached to a rank that I missed the whole idea behind what this business is about. It's about connecting with people and giving them the experience that I had when I started P90X, you know? And we have such a better opportunity now to give them more of an enhanced experience because we have Facebook groups. We have our My Challenge Tracker app. But I lost that glow, if you will, for my success because my success stalled out because I was doing the same things that I had been doing, you know, in years past that got me to 3-star, right? And so my problem was I wasn't evolving with what people's behaviors were when they come to social media or when they go to their buying practices, right? Like we have to constantly evolve. And if we don't, then we're kind of at a point where our business stalls and we go, oh, it doesn't work anymore. Blame the company, doesn't work. It's got to be the shakes. It's got to be the price. It's got to be whatever, right? Fill in the blank. And when we allow other outside influences that are in a negative spot in their life or prey on your vulnerability, right, then we tend to start thinking like that. You know, they say you should surround yourself with people that are far more successful than you, that are far more positive. I think it was in a Peter, 6 Months to 6 Figures. I don't know if you guys have read that book. Amazing book. I mean, he is straight to the point. Peter Vogue's his name. But he says, if you surround yourself with 5 successful people, you'll be number 6. If you surround yourself with 5 positive people, you'll be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 6 or 5 negative Nancys, you're going to be that 6th negative Nancy. 5 Debbie Downers, you're number 6. And it was like light bulb. And literally that changed the way I started to think about things, that I was surrounding myself with people that were telling me what I wanted to hear instead of recognizing what my strengths and my talents were. Because my love for fitness never changed. It actually grew. I became certified as a group fitness instructor with ACE. I got P90X certified, PIO certified, and I also went and got my level 1 CrossFit training certificate. So I went and taught CrossFit for a couple years. And that's when I stepped out of the game. But I did go into teaching CrossFit to actually try and bridge the community of the P90X culture to CrossFit, because they're very actually similar, believe it or not, because of the competitiveness. You know, like the old school P90Xers, like there was a really tight community with P90X. There still is, right? It's almost like, you know, if you have the same car drive or you're a motorcycle person, you're driving down the street and you see another motorcycle, they have like a hand signal. You know, that's kind of how I feel like somebody that's done P90X as many times as I have, or even done it, you kind of have this like instant connection, right? So I wanted to bridge the gap between that. And then CrossFit just kind of took me to a direction where I'm like, yep, you know what? It's all Beachbody's fault. This doesn't work. People don't want to do it anymore. CrossFit, 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 right? And then of course the influence of, you know, the individual said, hey, check out this business. And that was before we changed our policies and procedures. So I wasn't doing anything wrong. And then they changed the policies and procedures. And that's when I was forced to make a decision. And honestly, you guys, I will look to sell my business. I was like, you know what? I got to move on. I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. Right. And then I was stopped in my tracks in the parking lot of Whole Foods when I was sitting there going, how can I sell my business? What is the worth of my business? And I'm like, what the hell am I thinking? Why would I do something like that? Me selling my business was giving up. Me selling my business or transferring it, whatever, you know, was the right way to do it, was me giving up on all the people in years past that I'd influenced and told them these products work, because I was a product of the product. I never deviated from drinking Shakeology. Believe it or not, I was always still drinking Shakeology when I had kind of checked out from the business. I just wasn't doing the programs at home anymore. I still said that they worked. You know, I would tell people they worked because I know they did. But I was at a point where I said, you know what? If I want this business to work, it has to start with me. And in that span of, it was about 3.5, 4 years, I wasn't doing personal development. I wasn't surrounding myself with people that wanted to lift me up. Yes, I was in a competitive atmosphere with CrossFit, and we were, you know, my first year in CrossFit, I was on our local regional team. And I loved the competitiveness. I loved the camaraderie and the teamwork. What I didn't love is how it made me feel from from looking back in the mirror, right? And my husband said to me, you felt your best. You seemed the most confident when you were doing P90X, when you were doing these home workout programs. Why don't you go back to that? And it was right. I mean, it was literally within hours that all this connection came to that, sitting in the parking lot going, what the hell am I thinking? Trying to sell a business. That's me giving up and walking away because things got hard. So I had to have a very long conversation very quickly with myself to say, snap the hell out of it. This is your passion. This is your ability to really enhance and change people's lives. You just have to think differently. So I poured myself into personal development. I humbled myself and thought as a new coach. I still, believe it or not, after I hit 3-star, I was still at a 1-star the entire time that I was checked out as a business owner. So I dove back in and I went live on Facebook and I poured my heart out and said, you guys, I honestly checked out. I have to it's been really hard for me to admit it. I get emotional thinking about it because I'm like, can you imagine where I'd be right now if I didn't check out for 4 years? And that was a really hard, for me to digest, is beating myself up because I needed to take that break. I'm woo-woo in the sense that I believe that there's, the universe has a way, right? And that there was some reason that I needed that time away for me to recognize the platform, the gift that Beachbody offers us with this business model. So I had to come and speak my truth. And I was completely transparent with everybody. I said, I'm coming back into this business completely transparent. I am going to be very truthful about my past experience and why. If you want to ask, just ask. I am going forward. I'm looking ahead. I'm not looking back. I'm not dwelling anymore. I want to be here to serve you, and you have my commitment 110% that I will show up every day. I will be here to influence you. I will be here to show you how these programs and products work because I believe in them. I was fearful that of saying the word Beachbody, that I was a Beachbody coach for so long because of the stigma. I know how sometimes we're like, let's think about creative words we can use to say we're a coach, but why? And it was one of those first national wake-up calls. It might have actually been Danielle Natoni, had said, I hated saying I was a Team Beachbody coach, but then I was like, why am I afraid to say I'm a Beachbody coach? This business has brought so much life to me. It had gifted my family with a really great income that allowed us to be able to get to the point where we are and grow our family, and my older kids are now school aged and we have them in a Catholic school. So we're able to draw from my income to pay for them to go to school. And kids aren't cheap, right? They're never cheap. I got 4 of them now, and they're always into something. My daughter's into golf, and my son's into baseball, and the little ones, we haven't quite figured out what they're going to do, but they'll get there one day. But recognizing that this business has given me the gift to show them so much more persevering through things when they get hard, because I still have hard days. I don't necessarily have the thought of quitting, but I remember that feeling and what I needed to do to pull out of it. So you guys, if I can tell you anything from my experience of when things get hard, is that you've got to pour yourself into personal development, and you've got to go to the people that are that much more successful than you and be humbled, even if they've been successful in a shorter range of time. Like, I would go and follow some of these girls and just be like, what the hell is Christina Battaglia doing? Why is she so amazing? What is she doing? You know? Even like Emily Farrer, that you see her popping up, and Ashley Molstein, I'm like, what are these women doing? And at the time it was Melanie, actually, because she was just like surging. And I'm like, what is she doing? She's a mom. Like, I related to them. So I sat there and I studied what these coaches did. I didn't copy them, but I studied them, because success leaves clues, right? We know that. Success leaves clues. So I wanted to know what they were doing, and they were breadcrumbing what they were doing on their social media, right? MySpace was gone, so I didn't have that to leverage anymore. And I hated Twitter, so I couldn't do Twitter. But I'm like, what are they doing on social media, on Facebook, that's influencing their people, right? And how can I do that? And so it was more getting back into the time. It was 3 vital behaviors. And then when it rolled into 4, I'm like, this is exactly what works. There's no secret to what these other successful top 10 elite coaches are doing. They're doing exactly as Scotty probably tells you guys every time you hop on your team page. Are you doing your 4 vital behaviors? If you're in a state of doubt whether this business is right for you, are you pouring yourself into personal development? It is the right personal development, you know? Because I would say, yeah, I'm doing personal development, but it was like I was listening to a book that wasn't even processing into my brain, but it was just a matter of, let me get through this book, because then I could say I did 10 minutes, yeah? But then, was I listening to the National Wake Up Call? Was I listening to what those nuggets that those coaches were sharing? Was I drawing from the people that were successful in this business so I can apply it and spin it to be my personality? Because I couldn't talk like Melanie. I couldn't talk like Danielle, you know, like that people would know that wasn't me. So diving back into those 4 vital behaviors and committing, it was my 4th pregnancy, and I just kind of was tired of CrossFit because I was still coaching, and I was just like, you know what? I want to go back home, and I'm going to commit to doing 21-day fix. I literally had 3 weeks to go in my 4th pregnancy, and I'm like, screw it. I'm doing 21-day fix extreme, start to finish. And so I documented it every single day and showed them the process of going through the workouts. And my belly was just hanging, and I felt amazing though. Like, I could dwell on the tiredness of my joints and my bones and my body just being pregnant, but I felt amazing because all of a sudden I was bringing in the energy and the people that I wanted, that I knew filled my cup and that I knew needed me. They needed to see that we don't become crippled when we're pregnant, right? We can overcome, and we can work on rebuilding ourselves during postpartum. And postpartum was the time that I needed people the most. And that was a reflection, thinking back to my 2nd pregnancy, 4 months out, when P90X came into my life. And I'm like, I need people that will be around me to be positive and fill me up and help me progress through this program, because it's hard. Sometimes it's lonely being a mom. It's lonely being at home, working from home, because you don't always have the adult interaction. Digital, you know, we of course Zoom and live video changes that for us, but it can be really lonely. So pouring yourself and surrounding yourself by those people that are doing the things that you want to accomplish and manifesting it. I'm such a believer, that goes back to the woo-woo thing, is that I think that when you manifest what you want, and I wrote down, Scotty, what you said at the beginning of your call, is that you make it a weekly goal to be at Success Club 6, and you just think and believe that you are doing that. You know, if you want to be a diamond coach, you think and believe that you are a diamond coach. You act as if you're a diamond coach. You know, well before I was 5-star, which when I really started to pour back in, I took me about 2 years to rebuild to 3-star. And then once I hit 3-star, it was like I was boom back into 4-star qualifying. I went 4-star one week, 5-star one week, and then 6-star the next week. So I just, the evolution of it just happens. And then you kind of see why some of these people get so successful so quickly. But you show up, you've got to show people the simplicity behind it. You've got to do your personal development, and you have to manifest that you're living the exact way that you want out of this business. But untying the rank and the obsession behind the rank. And that's what I had to just switch when I came back into things, is I had to take the obsession of the title of 5-star. Yes, it's amazing accolade, and I'm stoked that I finally did it and that I'm in the round table. Like, who doesn't want to be in that, But I had to take what was the real intention behind getting to 5-star? Just to say I did it, but I wanted to have a profound 5-star business, 6-star business, 10-star business, elite business, because of the people that helped me get there and the impact that I've made along the way, and that I can continue to do as I go forward. Because like Scotty said, he wants to do this until he's 70. I'm going to be 40 this year. And I started this going into my 30s. So I'm like, I'm going to be well into my 60s and 70s rocking this. But I have to recognize that this business evolves, and we have to check ourselves and evolve with it, and come to terms that when things stop working and it gets hard, you just have to retrain your brain a little bit, pick up some personal development, and say, hey, what can I do to change my business that's just going to make that rejuvenation of it and propel you forward? So like you, Scotty, I could go on and on and on, but I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted me to go through, but figured that was relevant to my story.
I love that. Can we take a couple questions? Is that all right? Real quick.
Of course.
Anybody have any questions for Taryn and her 10 years worth of wisdom? We'll give them a second. Don't be shy.
I'm reading the comments. How cute. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. So I have a question. Will you just share, I guess to kind of do this on a national wake-up call, now that I'm realizing this is the question I want to ask, will you tell us how much different like your life is now that you made that decision, to re-engage, and you had that conversation with yourself in the parking lot outside the Whole Foods? Like, how has your life changed? Like, tell us how much different it is now that you've made that choice. That day you drew that line and you made this happen.
I think it was a confidence change. I finally felt confident again. And I felt confident the fact that we have a business model that is changing lives. As cliche and cheesy as that sounds, it's true. Because yes, the income is amazing. And I could say, oh, we've been able to do this and be able to do that. I mean, we had to get a bigger house because we grew out of the 3-bedroom house we had. We had 4 kids, and I'm like, where are they all going to go? So yes, the income has helped us to be able to buy a bigger home. But truly, you guys, the confidence, I think it far out, like, surpasses the income. Because if you're not confident, like, life sucks, if you're not confident. And my confidence came when I recognized that I've got talents and strengths that other people don't. And I might have a Beachbody coach that sits next to me or in my neighborhood, but my strengths and talents are different than theirs. And that is so empowering to know that I can influence somebody a little bit differently, even though there is a Beachbody coach down the street.
Yeah.
So it's really confidence, honestly.
I love that, confidence. Another question, Travis asks, when you said you wanted to sell because it got too hard, what was too hard?
Just feeling like I had to show up with nothing in return. But here's what it was, in all honesty. I was putting out what I thought were amazing social media posts that I thought were just going to have casts of thousands messaging me, right? And seeing that line of comments, like, 25 comments on one post. And when that didn't happen anymore because they were used to seeing it and it was boring, right? Then I'm like, this business is hard. People aren't coming to me anymore. Like, that was hard, but that was on me because I wasn't inviting. I was not actively messaging people and inviting them to join me. They were waiting for me to invite them. I wasn't leveraging the fact that they might have looked at my post and liked it. And I wasn't turning around and going, hey, why don't you do this with me? What are you thinking? You're just going to show up and say hi and like it, but you're not going to message me? Well, I'm going to message you. So it was that shift in mindset. And that's where the confidence piece comes in. And I know that Lindsay, just to kind of parlay into Lindsay's questions about the PD that I leaned on, I'm a straight shooter. The forming, I think there's an element of forming in our business that is necessary, but I also recognize that the change in tides with social media is that people don't want to know that there's something coming and be blindsided by it. So I poured into straight to the point personal development. I mentioned 6 figures in 6 months. That Peter Vogt book, I think, was amazing. He's a young entrepreneur. The 10X rule, I love that book. There's one that I will tell everybody and anybody about. It is called The Attractor Factor. And it's by Joe Vitale, Vitale. You can get it on Audibles because I'm an Audibles girl. I actually own the print of it too. But that one, when I talk woo-woo, the whole idea of manifesting the life that you want, that book was my jam. Like it made sense. It clicked. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to act as if I'm a business owner. I'm going to act like I'm the CEO of Amazon, and I'm going to be straight to the point. Like Bill Gates didn't kind of dance around and walk on eggshells when he was rolling out Microsoft, and either did any of the CEOs, Steve Jobs for Apple. When they have something they want to accomplish, they're going to get out there and they're going to do it. So what's the difference? Why can't we do the same thing? So I started to say, I want to be a straight shooter because I want somebody to say, not my jam, or yeah, thanks for being super direct with me. So I went to those really kind of intense books. That's because I needed that tough love.
I love that. It's funny. I had someone, a really good friend that I hadn't heard from in a long time, send me a message saying, hey, I would love to connect and do this and chat with you about some things. And I totally ignored it. And it was because I knew exactly what was coming, and I'm really happy with the service that I have with that, and it has to do with investing. But then when he followed up with me a week later and said, hey, here's the thing, I started this business, and I want to just see how you're doing with what you're doing, what I have to offer, and see what you think about it. And I was like, okay, I'll call you. So it's kind of the same thing. A lot of people do want to get straight to the point. I want to and then we'll let you go, Taryn. Off of what you were talking about with Travis about it got too hard. I had the opportunity to speak on someone's call yesterday about all the sacrifices that I made in the first year and whatnot. It made me reflect back to the beginning. I really got into that moment as I was telling some of those stories. And because oftentimes I think, oh man, this is hard. Or like I'll be kind of in a bad mood or grumpy, or the kids are crazy and your emotions are weird. And then the business can seem weird or hard, like depending on what you're going through in your life, right? And so I was talking about what really is hard. And I was like, man, I think about my old job working 5 o'clock to 5 to 5 every day, dropping the kids off at the babysitter at 3. Gabby would do that. I would pick them up at 5. I would raise 3 little girls, 3 and under, by myself while my wife was at work. And then I would sleep 5 hours and go and just repeat that and work every Saturday. I'm like, what would be hard is doing that until I'm 65 and then realizing that I wasted my whole life and my kids are gone and not spending time with them. I'm like, that seems hard. Like sending out 20 invites or follow-ups or going live on my Facebook page to share about my workout today. That's not hard at all, right? So sometimes it just takes putting into perspective. We had my wife's family over, her parents over, eating dinner, and they brought a family of 6 from Bolivia to the United States, and her dad worked, and they didn't know English, and her dad worked 3 full-time jobs. And the kids all delivered newspapers and collected aluminum cans for money to pay for their life here. And like her dad just retired 2 years ago, but he worked 2 jobs until he was 66 years old. And her mom's still cleaning buildings and working. They still collect cans. I'm like, that's hard. Like doing something like that is hard. Leaving your family behind and everything. And they had a maid and someone take care of the house, and he was an attorney. And he came here to work as just a hard-working man cleaning buildings. I'm like, that's hard. And so sometimes when I look at this business and I feel like, oh, this is getting really hard going for Superstar Diamond or becoming an elite team this year. I'm like, okay, this is not hard. Like calling my friends, Lindsay and Christine, and having a 3-way video chat is not hard. You know, going live in my challenge group is not hard. And so I think a lot of times we get out of perspective on what is really hard in this life. So Taryn, I want to let you go. I know your husband's work and you probably need to leave there, but we appreciate your time and we appreciate you pouring into us and giving us some wisdom, being here for 10 years and reminding us that we have challenge packs and Shakeology and all this stuff that you didn't have in the beginning, and an incredible Coach Online office and a share a cart and all of that stuff that you didn't have as you began this journey. So thanks for being one of the early people that went through all the challenges of building this business so that we can have a better opportunity today. We appreciate it.
Maybe I was an early adopter. That's why we like each other.
Yes, you are.
Thanks for inviting me. This was a blast. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Taryn, and we'll see everybody next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.